There is a moment in life when the mind reaches its limits. No matter how much you analyze, plan, or rationalize, the answers slip through your fingers like water. Why am I here? What is my purpose? Why does something inside me feel incomplete? This is not doubt. This is remembrance, a call from the part of you that is always known, a presence beyond thoughts, beyond fear, beyond the constant noise of the ego. Carl Jung spoke of this force as the self, the core of the psyche that unites all fragmented aspects of being. Helena Blavatsky described it as the bridge between the material and the divine, the true consciousness hidden beneath layers of illusion. In Spiritism, Chico Xavier emphasized its role in our evolution, the immortal essence guiding each step of our journey. This force has been called many things: Atman, divine spark, higher consciousness, sacred self. But no matter the name, the truth remains. It is not something you find, it is something you return to. A still presence beneath the surface of identity, a silent intelligence that nudges you, whispers through intuition, sends signals through synchronicities and moments of deep clarity. It is the part of you that does not break, does not doubt, does not belong to the fleeting self you think you are. But what exactly is this higher self? How do we distinguish it from the mind, the emotions, the ego? And if it has always been there, why do so many remain unaware of its presence? Because the higher self is not lost. It is simply forgotten. But then, what is the higher self? It is not a voice in your head. It is not a fleeting thought, an emotion, or an impulse. The higher self is something far greater, the unshaken core of your being, the part of you that exists beyond fear, beyond doubt, beyond identity. In Carl Jung's psychology, it is known as the self, the totality of who you are, uniting both the conscious and unconscious mind. In Hinduism, it is the Atman, the eternal essence within, that is one with Brahman, the universal consciousness. In Helena Blavatsky's theosophy, it is the divine fragment within, the link between the human and the infinite. The higher self is the part of you that knows rather than thinks, guides rather than controls, observes rather than reacts. It is not influenced by conditioning, fear, or external expectations. It sees your life path from a broader perspective, offering guidance through intuition, synchronicities, and deep moments of inner clarity. But if this higher consciousness is always within you, why does it feel so distant? Because between you and your higher self, there is a veil, a wall built from thoughts, beliefs, conditioning, what we call the ego. And that is what we must understand next. If the higher self is always present, why do so few people feel connected to it? The answer is simple. The ego stands in the way. The ego is the identity you have built from experience, the thoughts, fears, labels, and beliefs you carry. It is shaped by memories, conditioning, and societal expectations. The ego is not inherently bad. It is necessary for navigating the physical world. But when mistaken for the true self, it creates illusions, separation, fear, attachment, and resistance to change. The higher self, on the other hand, is not shaped by external factors. It does not cling to pain, to labels, or to the past. It exists in a state of clarity, wisdom, and neutrality. Ego seeks control. The higher self surrenders to wisdom. Ego reacts. The higher self observes. Ego fears change. The higher self flows with transformation. Ego is attached to identity. The higher self transcends it. Ego operates through logic and conditioning. The higher self guides through intuition. In Paul Brunton's teachings, the ego is merely a mask, a role played in this lifetime. In Carl Jung's work, individuation is the process of integrating the ego with the deeper self. Helena Blavatsky describes the ego as the force that binds us to illusion, Maya, keeping us from realizing our divine nature. To hear the higher self, one must learn to quiet the ego, and that's where the real challenge begins. The higher self across different spiritual traditions. The higher self is not a modern concept. It has been described in different words across ancient traditions, philosophies, and spiritual teachings for centuries. Though the names may change, the essence remains the same, a deeper intelligence within, untouched by illusion. Hinduism, Atman and Brahman. In Hindu philosophy, the Atman is the eternal self, beyond the physical body and mind. It is not separate from the universe. It is one with Brahman, the infinite consciousness. The great Vedic teaching, Tattvam Asi, you are that, reminds us that the divine is not something external, but something we must remember within ourselves. Buddhism does not emphasize a permanent self, but teaches that wisdom arises when one transcends identity and illusion. The practice of meditation and mindfulness aims to detach from the conditioned mind, leading to direct experience of higher awareness. In Helena Blavatsky's Theosophy, the higher self is described as the divine fragment within each individual, a connection to the universal intelligence. It is often seen as a bridge between the human mind and spiritual enlightenment, a concept mirrored in Hermetic teachings. In Spiritist philosophy, as taught by Chico Xavier, the soul is on a path of constant evolution, learning through multiple lifetimes. The higher self is seen as the perfected state of our consciousness, guiding us towards spiritual maturity. Many contemporary thinkers, such as Paul Brunton, James J. Hurtak, and Monica Stevenson, describe the higher self as the purest version of you, a guiding presence that can be accessed through deep inner work, meditation, and alignment with spiritual principles. Despite differences in terminology, the message is universal. You are more than your thoughts, your fears, and your body. The real you is infinite, waiting to be remembered. If the higher self is an eternal part of our being, does that mean everyone has one? The answer is simple. Yes, everyone has a higher self, but not everyone is aware of it. Your higher consciousness is always present, always guiding, but your ability to perceive it depends on your level of awareness. Why some people feel disconnected from the higher self? The noise of the ego. The mind is constantly filled with thoughts, fears, distractions. When the ego dominates, the voice of the higher self is drowned out. Emotional blockages, unprocessed trauma, fear, and self-doubt create energetic barriers, making it difficult to receive guidance. Conditioning and beliefs. Society teaches people to identify with the physical self. Many never question whether there is something beyond their thoughts. Living in low vibration states, the more one is trapped in negativity, material obsession, and reactive behavior, the harder it is to access higher levels of awareness. Can someone lose their higher self? Number. The higher self cannot be lost. It is not something separate from you, but it can feel distant, like a forgotten memory buried beneath years of distraction. Paul Brunton described it as the silent witness, always watching, always available. Chico Xavier and Spiritist teachings emphasize that through each lifetime, the soul slowly awakens to its divine essence. Can anyone reconnect with their higher self? Yes, but like tuning into a radio signal, you must shift your frequency. The connection is always there. It's just a matter of removing the interference. The higher self is never lost, only forgotten. And while some will reconnect with it in this lifetime, others will only realize its presence when the physical body is no longer in the way. Because what happens after death? Do we finally reunite with our higher self? If the higher self is our purest, most enlightened state of being, then what happens when the body dies? Do we immediately reunite with it, or does the journey continue? The answer depends on consciousness. If the soul is still attached to the ego. When a person lives deeply identified with the material world, their consciousness remains anchored in lower vibrational states. Spiritist teachings describe souls lingering in dense astral planes, umbral, still entangled in human fears, regrets, and attachments. In these states, the higher self feels distant, not because it is absent, but because the soul is not yet ready to merge with it, if the soul has awakened. When a person has cultivated self-awareness, detachment, and spiritual understanding, they transition into higher realms of consciousness. According to Helena Blavatsky, the soul sheds the layers of illusion, Maya, and rises toward its true divine nature. In Paul Brunton's philosophy, this is the moment when the higher self fully embraces the soul, and all lower identities dissolve into higher awareness. Does the journey end after death? Many traditions, including Spiritism and Eastern philosophy, teach that the higher self is not a final destination, but a state of being that is gradually realized. Some souls fully merge with it, becoming guides, ascended beings, or pure consciousness. Others continue evolving through multiple incarnations, learning and refining their awareness until they are ready to fully embody their higher self. In essence, death is not the end. It is just a shift in perception. The higher self is always present, but how quickly we reunite with it depends on how much we let go of the illusions that keep us from it. And that realization leads to the next essential question. If the higher self is always present, why does it feel so distant? Why do moments of deep clarity and intuition seem rare? The truth is, the connection has never been broken, only buried beneath distractions, fear, and the noise of the ego. But just like tuning into a radio frequency, you can shift your awareness and reconnect with the part of you that already knows. Practical ways to connect with your higher self. Silence the mind. The ego thrives on noise, constant thoughts, worries, external distractions. Meditation, breathwork, and moments of stillness allow you to hear the subtle voice of your higher self. Paul Brunton called this the inner retreat, a space where higher wisdom naturally arises. The higher self does not speak in fear or urgency. It speaks in deep knowing. When you feel an unexplainable pull towards something, or a resistance to something else, listen. Helena Blavatsky taught that intuition is the direct perception of truth beyond logical reasoning. Observe, don't react. The ego reacts, quickly, emotionally, defensively. The higher self observes. Before making a decision, pause. Ask, is this fear or wisdom, reaction or truth? Your higher self does not cling to labels, beliefs, or identities. Letting go of attachments, whether material, emotional, or mental, creates space for higher awareness. Chico Xavier often spoke about detachment as a path to spiritual clarity. Synchronicities, repeating patterns, and deep inner nudges are not coincidences. The higher self communicates through symbols, subtle whispers, rather than loud commands. As James J. Hurtak explains, when you align with your higher self, you begin to see the hidden patterns of reality. Before sleeping, in meditation, or in a quiet moment, ask, what do I need to know? The answer may come as a dream, a sudden realization, or a feeling of clarity. Your higher self is always communicating. The question is, are you listening? When you begin this process, don't expect an instant transformation. The connection strengthens over time through presence, awareness, and trust. And once it happens, something shifts. You no longer seek answers. You start becoming the answer. For so long, you have searched outside of yourself, seeking guidance, answers, validation, trying to make sense of life through logic, experience, and the voices of others. But the truth is, the answers were never outside you. The higher self is not a distant entity, nor a mystery to be solved. It has been there since the beginning, watching, waiting, whispering. Every moment of intuition, every deep sense of knowing, every quiet nudge towards something greater. That was it. It was you, beneath the layers of conditioning, fear, and forgetfulness. In Spiritism, Chico Xavier spoke of the soul's gradual awakening, each lifetime bringing us closer to the realization of our divine nature. In Paul Brunton's teachings, enlightenment is not something we attain, but something we remove the barriers to. Helena Blavatsky called it the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the mortal and the eternal. And what if this was the purpose of life itself, not to chase something outside of us, not to seek meaning in temporary things, but to remember, to strip away illusion, to reconnect with what has always been there. Because the moment you align with your higher self, everything shifts. Clarity replaces confusion. Trust replaces fear. Stillness replaces chaos. And the path forward? It unfolds naturally. Because the one who was lost was never lost at all. The real question is, will you listen?